Welcome back to Ferris Sports Update. Time to talk now with retiring Ferris State University Athletics Director Perk Weisenburger. And Perk, first of all, welcome to the show.
Good to be back, Rob. Thank you.
I know before we get into your 11-year, 10-year or so here at Ferris State, got to talk about homecoming and obviously the first couple football games at home and some electric crowds here and off to a great start.
Oh, some fantastic crowds, and certainly this past Saturday with homecoming was probably the highlight. Alumni coming back from all over the place. We had guys in motorhomes coming from Arkansas, flying in from California, Texas. Just a lot of alums on campus for several days for the entire weekend. Businesses in town were stuffed and were brimming with business. So very good experience. Wonderful tailgating environment. The Eislers were grand marshals of the homecoming parade. I'd say beautiful or ideal weather, which it was, and then a shutout victory. And women's basketball team gets their championship rings from from a year or so ago. So all in all, just a great day, and very gratifying to see all the activity and the buzz around Ferris State University homecoming weekend, and certainly Bulldog football and our other sports.
Obviously, here you have just a couple weeks left until the second week of October when you're officially retired. Maybe talk about your journey through Ferris State here over the last 11 years and what that's meant.
Oh, it's a little bit bittersweet from that standpoint of just looking to the end, but I'm ready to move on to the next step. And I think, as I've mentioned before, the department needs a little bit of some new ideas and some fresh energy, and I think it'll be good. And I'm looking forward to passing that baton over to Steve Brocklebank, and I think he'll do an excellent job. But as I reflect back, I mean, there's so many different highlights that are that you could go to and think about, but I think a couple of the biggest things are the facility improvements that we've done now with the CAP, which we'll talk about here in a second, and the other things that we've added to the softball complex, the South Athletic Fields, the soccer stadium, resurfacing the track, resurfacing the football field, the football scoreboard, hockey locker room improvements, volleyball locker improvements. All in all, and with a lot of support, or mostly support from the university, upwards of $22 million in the past 10 years. So very, very proud of that. Probably what I'm most particularly proud of is is how we've raised the level of competitiveness in our programs, and almost all programs across the board, and particularly when it comes to playing our rival, the school down the road. We weren't faring so well against them when I first got here, but now we've flipped that coin a little bit, and in a number of sports, we've really had a pretty good run on them. And volleyball was a prime example of that this past Thursday night. After a tough weekend in the UP, they come back and knock off Grand Valley, who swept through the UP. So a great win for them. Men's basketball's had a great run. Tony in football certainly had a great run on Grand Valley. Soccer's competing very, very hard and very close next to them. So we're getting there in a few other sports, because you got to measure yourself. If you want to be a GLIAC champ and you want to be one of so many teams that plays in the postseason at the NCAA level, you're going to have to go through Grand Valley, and we've embraced that challenge. Our coaches have, and our student athletes have, and I think in even certain regards we've relished that challenge, and we've done very, very well. And I'm probably most satisfied and most thrilled about elevating that competitive nature in terms of being having a true rival here in the GLIAC.
Obviously, I know you've been able to hire and work with some outstanding coaches, some great student athletes, and I know you've been proud of their success not only on the field but also in the classroom.
There's no question. I give all the credit to the coaching staff, and certainly to the people who are involved in their academics, Sarah Higley, and our academic counselors, and the tutorial services that the university provides. Because we do have some student athletes that need help from time to time. We all did, and we all do. And I think the student athletes deserve a lot of credit on that academic side. And then on the athletic side, whether it's a team sport or an individual sport, I think back to when I first arrived. You had Tina Muir, who was a 7 or 8 time All-American as a distance runner, just a very decorated student athlete. And we've had individuals on the tennis side and on the golf side, and certainly teams, and the Jason Vanderlaans, the J. Rue Campbells, and winning awards and academic awards as well. So I've really been very, very pleased. It's been my honor to be the athletic director at Ferris State and to be a part of such a successful athletic program.
You mentioned the Center for Athletic Performance, the new CAP project. What's that going to mean for Bulldog Athletics moving forward into the future?
It's going to mean an awful lot, Rob. It's going to give us so many things that we can utilize as resources. It's going to cut down on the amount of time student athletes have back and forth to the sports complex. We'll have meeting rooms. We'll be able to lift with bigger groups and teams, and maybe even 2 or 3 teams at the same time. So student athlete development, student athlete time, managing their time, enhanced locker room facilities, and then it's going to provide us a multi-purpose area, where we can have basketball and volleyball can compete in. But the main thing is the strength and conditioning space, 6,000 square feet of strength and conditioning space with a nutrition and hydration area. It's just something that a lot of schools have, and we've needed for a long, long time, and our student athletes are really going to take a lot of pride in it and be a great recruiting tool as well. So it's going to help the ones that are here and the ones that are on their way, and it'll give the ones who have come and gone a lot of pride in Ferris State athletics as well.
Obviously, in addition to Ferris State, you've had 40 years or so in college athletics. What's it been like, I guess, moving through the ranks here in college athletics? And hard to believe it went so fast, I'm sure.
Yes, it is. It is. I think you think about most as if you're a student athlete, which I was, is the competitiveness. I mean, you want to compete for a championship. You want to be at the top of those standings at the end of the year. You want to play in the postseason, and that's what drove me as a young student athlete. And I think that's what drives student athletes today, and it should. You're part of a team. You're part of something that's bigger than you. And if you can come together as a team and have that type of chemistry and win a championship and go on in the NCAAs, whether you're 2 and out or whether you win a regional or even go to the Elite Eight or the Final Four, then boy, you have accomplished something that not a lot of people get a chance to accomplish. And that's what I've really relished in, seeing our student athletes be able to do that. And we've had a number of teams who have played at that high level. They've not only gotten into the NCAA tournament, but they've done well and advanced. And I'm looking forward to a few more of those teams doing that same thing this year, and I'll be watching closely and from afar.
Obviously, you mentioned right there, among the many highlights, 3 teams that have played in national championship games, first national championship in school history. I think all 17 programs have been represented in the NCAA postseason since you've been here. Maybe talk about those highlights and what that has been like over the past 11 years.
Oh, I think back to a volleyball team that goes down to Grand Valley and wins a regional down there on Grand Valley's floor, and it goes to the Elite Eight at the time. That was just remarkable. Football's run, on the road and run to McKinney, Texas, and a chance to play Valdosta for the national championship. Who could forget the Frozen Four? That was in my second year here, of us having a great run in the second half of the season, winning the CCHA. And then going to Green Bay, winning 2 games, and now we're in the Frozen Four and winning that first game. And if you're in the Final Four, you want to win that first game because you get to hang around for an extra day or 2. And that was just extremely exciting. And then, of course, how could you forget the week we spent in Sioux Falls, and they're playing 3 games in an Elite Eight setting, in a wonderful setting. And we kind of were the road team that last game against Northern State, and what an excellent ball game, and what a tight one to win, but could not be prouder of our student athletes. And when you win a national championship, of course, those are the memories that really kind of jump out. But just competing and have a chance to compete, a lot of people have always said, boy, I'd rather lose early or lose big and not be close. Not me. I'd rather be as close as I can, play as far as you can, and if you get stung and get beat by a buzzer beater, so be it. But those are the gratifying times, and I think back to all those experiences that we provided the student athletes, and that's really why I'm in the business, because I think that's going to carry them throughout their lives and memories and friendships for a lifetime.
Well, Perk, thanks for your time, and certainly thanks for your service, your leadership here for Ferris State Athletics. I know you're going to be missed, but certainly not going to be a stranger. Not going to be a stranger at all. And Rob, thank you as well, and you and Sandy and Harrison, you guys do an outstanding job, so keep up the good work. We'll be back with more Ferris Sports Update right after this.